Maybe it's the fatigue of greedy corporate practices, maybe it's my submissiveness to nostalgia, maybe I am just broke. Lately, I've been kind of avoiding AAA games. I don't hate them or anything. Sometimes it's really nice to play something that looks, sounds, and feels top of the line. But AAA games by their very nature nowadays are meant to sell millions and millions of copies. And when they don't sell the right amount of millions, they are deemed failures. By that logic, AAA games are extremely impersonal. They're not really made for you or made by people like you. They're not made for fans. They're made to make the shareholders happy. It's like if a girl on OnlyFans tells you that she loves you, it's not true. You know that's not true, right? I've been sticking to retro and indie games a lot lately. Indie games have always been a source of love for me since the days of Braid, Super Meat Boy, and Fez. Indie games are typically made by much smaller teams and oftentimes made by one person. This allows the vision to remain focused and personal. Sometimes I finish an indie game and I feel like I could have shared a nice conversation over a cup of coffee with the developer behind it. It feels like certain indie games are made by kindred spirits of mine. Maybe that's parasocial, I don't know. I've been digging through Steam lately trying to find games with very few reviews. At first I tried to find games with under 1,000 reviews, but then I tried to challenge myself even further. I wanted to try and find games with under 500 reviews, hell, maybe even under 200 reviews if I could. Because the brutal truth is, there are just too many games on the market nowadays. The reason why a game like Shovel Knight or Undertale blew up at the time of their release is because there were just fewer games at the time. Of course, it does help that those games are great, but fewer games means a higher chance of people finding your games. There's a really good chance that if Shovel Knight or Undertale came out today, they would just get swallowed up by the competition. And yeah, sure, there is a lot of trash out there nowadays, but guess what? There are tons and tons of great, fun, amazing games that just go under everyone's radar. So in case you're like me and you kinda get tired of super realistic graphics and gameplay formulas we've been seeing for the past 15 years and horrible pacing to pad out playtime to justify rising prices, here are some cooler games to give you a refresher. Okay, this one just confuses me, bro. Every time I think about Bat Boy, I'm like seriously baffled at how under the radar this game went. Bat Boy is a 2D action platformer with a slight emphasis more on the platforming side of things. The premise is actually really cool. You play as Ryosuke, who is a part of this group of high school athletes that become superheroes at nighttime. Their superhero themes are all based around the sport that they play. Ryosuke plays baseball, so he's Bat Boy. Some evil dude pops up and turns all your friends evil, so you gotta bash them back to their senses. When you beat a boss, you actually get a new ability, much like Mega Man. The pixel art and the sprites are awesome. A lot of the times when a game goes for the NES style graphics, I feel like they usually look a little too simple, but Bat Boy just totally nails the aesthetic. The music is really dope, and I love a lot of the enemy designs, specifically the little pig guys. I like the pig guys who throw baseballs at you in the beginning. It's super cute. I actually had the opportunity to ask the solo developer behind this game some questions, and they told me that they were inspired by things like Japanese Sentai shows, specifically Power Rangers, Rival Schools, Persona, and Tomba, which explains the pig enemies. They also explained to me how hard it can be to stand out in the very crowded indie scene nowadays, and their desire to make a sequel. If you do want to read the full interview, I'll put the link in the description. If you're like me and you're kinda salty that Yacht Club Games never made a Shovel Knight 2, you should really check out Bat Boy. It wasn't afforded the same grace or attention as Cyber Shadow, which is also really good. I really don't dislike anything about playing this game. It controls tight, it feels good, the levels are well designed, it sounds good. Overall, it's super dope. I know that pixelated side-scrollers are kind of oversaturated in the indie market. When people hear indie game, they think pixelated graphics. I get it, but you should really wishlist this game on Steam or your console of choice and get it on sale if you don't want to get it now. It is worth your time. Afterlove EP caught my attention during a showcase, I think the week of last year's Summer Game Fest. I was really attracted to the art direction, and it seemed like a promise of an emotional story. I didn't know this before I actually played it, but the game's director, Mohamed Fahmy, passed away in 2022, which is when the game was originally supposed to come out. Fahmy directed the game Coffee Talk, which got a lot more attention than Afterlove EP. His unfortunate passing gives Afterlove EP a strangely sad and realistic energy and vibe. It somehow coincides with the main story of the game, which is one of loss. Afterlove EP is a visual novel style game where you just walk around Jakarta, the largest city in Indonesia, and talk to people and live a month in the life of Rama. Rama was head over heels for his girlfriend Sinta. Sinta passed away a year before the events of the game, and it leaves Rama totally traumatized and shattered. He isolates himself from all his friends, which complicates things with two of his friends, Adit and Tasya, who are in a band with Rama. The three of them actually want to take their music careers to a professional level, so they actually get pretty insulted when Rama isolates himself. A year passes and Rama finally tries to leave his apartment and start socializing again, and it doesn't go as smooth as he hopes. If you're looking at this game and you're thinking it sounds like some hipstery little game about a 20-something-year-old sad boy who drinks coffee and listens to vinyl records, you'd be absolutely correct. I think the thing I like the most about Afterlove EP is that it actually kind of feels like a month in a Persona game. You get to choose who you hang out with, who you get closer with, and there's a couple of romance options too. There's multiple endings, of course, and normally I would never replay a game just for an ending, but because you can miss out on a lot of hangouts with different friends, I feel like I have a lot to see on a second playthrough. The writing definitely touches on edgy 20-somethings yearning to know what they're going to be as fully grown adults, and you know what? I like that stuff every now and then. It feels real. It feels messy. I'm in my late 20s and I still question where I'm going. It reminds me of the manga Solanin for anybody who's read it. Sometimes the writing here does get pretty mature, like how Rama questions his relationship with Sinta and starts to realize that, hey, maybe he was looking at it with rose-tinted glasses, because no relationship is truly perfect. Afterlove EP is a really cozy piece of commentary about loss, grief, and chasing your artistic goals. It's not perfect, of course. There's an extremely simple rhythm game that feels kind of goofy and pointless, and there's one character who I wish would just shut the fuck up. But other than that, I really like this game and the flexibility it offered. If you like the social aspects of Persona, but you don't want to commit to an 80 to 100 hour JRPG, you might really like this one. Single-player FPSs are harder to find than I thought. Boomer shooters are huge right now, but that's not necessarily what I mean. Games like Mullet Majak make me feel like I need to do 2 lines of cocaine before I start playing them. Every now and then, I do like hectic FPS games like Total Overkill or Doom Eternal, but I like games that let me breathe. I like games with atmosphere, and Metal Garden has loads of atmosphere. You exist in this world that's been covered with a gigantic ceiling and walls, kind of like the Simpsons movie, I guess. And you have to navigate your way through this gray wasteland, taking down anyone trying to stop you. Metal Garden feels like this forgotten FPS from the PS2 or original Xbox. It's a nice middle ground between very early Halo and maybe like Half-Life 1. It's definitely more Halo in terms of gameplay. I really like games that feel from that era because they feel unfamiliar to me. Back then, I didn't really play many FPSs, so there's this weird mix of nostalgia and foreignness that I get. You get a jump pack which lets you have a double jump, so there's a bit of platforming too, which incentivizes exploration. You might find like a hidden pathway or some extra ammo hidden away. You fight these Bloodborne ass guys too, which is kind of funny. The architecture in this game is amazing and really overwhelming with its size and shapes. That, alongside with a very limited color palette, makes you feel like this ant in a huge wasteland. I also just like how short this game is. You can beat it in 1 or 2 sittings. I want to see more movie-length games. Like, what's really wrong with spending $5 or $10 and getting a 2.5 hour game that you can replay over and over again? I love that shit. Is Metal Garden gonna crack your top 5 FPSs? No, of course not. But is it a super fun and interesting game? Definitely. And I hope this new developer takes what they learned from this game and makes a more fleshed out and mechanically rich FPS. I will be there day one if they decide to do that. Okay, this game has the most reviews out of any game I'm speaking about today, but I thought it would actually have more, and I actually kind of want to talk about it, so you're in luck. I'm going to talk about it. You're welcome. Dead Letter Department is a horror game where you play as a guy down on their luck. They find a shitty apartment to rent with a door that must remain closed, and they find a shitty job sorting out lost pieces of mail. Basically, if a piece of mail never made it to its desired location, you have to go into the computer and type the address and contents of the mail. The main gameplay here is typing. You don't do much else. At first, things are super normal. There's a letter for Grandpa Steve and he lives in Connecticut, so you gotta type all that stuff in. Some mail is just junk flyers and advertisements, but then things slowly start to get weird. You start noticing certain names repeating themselves. You see messages that are concerning or strange. Dead Letter Department taught me two things. Number one, I really suck ass at typing. I don't know why, but I only use my index finger with my left hand and with my middle finger and index finger on my right hand, so I don't type very well or very fast. The second thing it taught me is that horror can really come from anywhere, even just working an office job sorting mail. If you're the type of person who absorbs tons of horror and you're kind of numb to it and you need your horror to go all out to scare you, okay, this might not do it for you. But if you're like me and you're kind of a scaredy cat and you also just love unnerving atmospheres, you'll like this game. There's multiple endings and a lot of mail that you can only see on certain playthroughs, so there's a good replay value here too. I think my only complaint with the game is I found a lot of the writing hard to decipher, which I guess is one of the main points of the gameplay, because you have some autocorrect options that can help you out. Overall, it's a fantastic and unique horror experience, and I can't really see it coming to any consoles, unless there's like keyboard attachments for the PS5 and Xbox that I don't know about, but if you really do treasure unique gameplay, you should check this one out. Last but not least is Desvelado. Desvelado is a platformer where you play as this cute little bad guy navigating through his castle, which has become overrun with ghosts. Every room is its own level, and the only way you can get out to the next room is by extinguishing all the torches. But if a ghost touches you, you die, and if a ghost touches a torch that you extinguished, the torch goes back on fire. You also have this dash ability that you can only get from red torches, and if you use it, that dash is gone until you touch another red torch. It's got a bit of Celeste going on with the dash. The music is sick, and I guess I'm not as much of a music nerd as I thought, because I don't actually really know what genre it is. Sometimes it's kind of jazzy, sometimes it sounds like something I would hear in Ratatouille, and I like it a lot. The visual style here reminds me of a Newgrounds game or animation, which is never a bad thing. There's also this skeleton guy who's missing his bones, and there's these bonus little levels that you can find his bones in. This game is super affordable and offers a solid 4 to 5 hours of content if you try to go for 100% completion. Also, this is kind of random, but I usually hate auto-scrolling levels in platformers, but I actually really like the ones in this game. Don't worry, there's only 3, so if you hate them, there's only 3. But I think they're really good here. As somebody who can't get enough of 2D platformers, I can't recommend this one enough. Same thing I said with Batboy and Shovel Knight. We never got a Celeste 2, and it looks like we will never get a Celeste 2. And Desvelado scratches that itch. And I don't mean that in any way to discredit Desvelado as its own game. It is extremely strong and has its own very awesome identity, and I would love a sequel. I didn't know this, but it just came to Switch, so check it out anywhere you can. I absolutely love this game. So there you have it. Those are the smaller games that I've been playing recently that stuck with me for a lot of reasons. If you have any favorite games that feel super underrated or niche, or you know for a fact don't have a lot of reviews on Steam, please give me the names of them in the comments. I'm trying to explore more random, smaller titles. Because indie games just have a lot less riding on them in terms of financials, I think they're just able to take more risks, which is what makes them so fun and interesting to play through. As always, thank you so much for spending your time with my video. I hope you all have a fantastic day. No, you know what? Fuck that. I hope you all have a fantastic month. Goodbye.